Hello and welcome back to Grapple Theory. Thanks so much for joining us once again. Now, our special guest today is Alexxis Falcon. She's got a huge match coming up this week against Lizzy Evo for the TNT Women's Championship. It's going to be an absolute barn burner of a match. We'll be talking to her about that, about her love of Disney, about everything else to do with her wrestling career, including calling out Ivy and Brady Phillips on who really is the BritWres power couple. Stay tuned for that later in the show. But first, it's time to introduce our guest, Alexxis Falcon. Alexxis, thanks so much for coming on the show. How's everything been going? You must be looking forward really to this match with Lizzy at TNT coming up this week. This whole feud you guys have had has been incredible, and it all feels like it's been leading up to this culmination.
I think, so what it was with me and Lizzy is, I think it was advertised for, so basically pre-pandemic, it was like the last show of 2020, which was about March time, like end of March. And they said, we've got plans for you to wrestle Lizzy if the show goes ahead in the next few shows. But obviously everything's really uncertain at the minute, so we don't know. And I was like, yeah, no worries, just let me know. Obviously, then all the shows got cancelled. So I think TNT advertised to be back in October. I think, don't quote me on that. Without looking at it, or I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact dates. And they advertised me and Lizzy. Everyone was jumping on this bandwagon, and there was no feud there. We were both, the good guys. Everybody liked us, and I remember messaging Lizzy saying, "Can I swear on here?"
Oh yeah, no, you can swear. Yeah, cool. Everything's on the table here. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I remember messaging Lizzy going, "Fucking hell, what if this is shit now?" And she was like, "Duh," because everyone's hyping this match up, and it was so strange because we was like, "Why is everyone hyping this match up so much?" But anyway, that match obviously didn't happen. So they pushed it back to, I think it was January. They were like, "Oh, January, everything will be back open again." And Alexxis Falcon versus Lizzy Evo. We were like, "Okay, yeah, cool." That didn't happen. And then we were like, oh, God, this is, and it kind of got to a bit of a joke because I think the third time they announced it was for June, which was one that did go ahead.
Will it ever happen sort of thing, yeah.
The one that did happen. But we were kind of just this never happened. We're never going to wrestle each other. It is what it is. And I think it was one of those matches where it was definitely worth the wait. I've never wrestled Lizzy before. I've wrestled her in a mixed tag match where I think she hit me with a clothesline in the whole match, and that was it. So I didn't really know how she wrestled. She didn't know how I wrestled. And that was a couple of years ago now as well. So, we've both changed and grown as wrestlers since then. But we kind of didn't really know what to expect. But it was kind of just weird because even though I've never wrestled her before we went out, she was the only person I've ever wrestled who I've not been nervous to wrestle. Which is really strange. I didn't get that, I didn't get, this feeling beforehand of, proper nerves and anxiety. And even though there were all this pressure of, oh, it's Alexxis Falcon and Lizzy Evo, even though there was this huge amount of pressure, I didn't feel the pressure. And I didn't feel nervous. And obviously it's just escalated and shenanigans have gone on and on and on. And, it means that I get to wrestle them more. And I really enjoy wrestling Lizzy. And it's one of them. I have fantastic chemistry with her. I think I can just look at her and look at her body language, and I know exactly what is going to happen. But she's just one of them where she's so fucking talented, and it's definitely made me up my game being in the ring with somebody like Lizzy, and having this final blow off match that's come in, fucking 30-minute Iron Man match. Oh my god. I don't know why I suggested that.
Was it you that you suggested it?
It was me who suggested it. So I had this nickname of Iron Queen, and the reason for that was because I'd won an Iron Woman match previously, and then I won the Wrestle Island Rumble where I went from 1 to 30, so I was in it for a whole hour.
Yeah.
And the fans started chanting "Oh, Iron Queen," and I was like, "Oh, that's a cool nickname. I'm gonna keep that nickname." And it wasn't the other day that when it was a couple of months ago, JJ said, "Oh, I don't think you should use that name anymore. I think you've kind of outgrown it now." And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. It's not really relevant to me anymore. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm going to make this last match, if I win at Extreme Fields, I'm going to make it an Iron Woman match. And then that way, if I win, I can keep my name, and if I lose, I'll do what JJ said and I'll get rid of it.
Nice.
So that's kind of like my reasoning for picking the Iron Woman match. So yeah.
Has it been sort of like I guess in a way like in purely a wrestling sense, because obviously the whole last couple of years has just been crazy and not great for so many people. But in a purely like show sense, does that sort of rivalry with Lizzy that has been created, was that almost a blessing pandemic wise to give it that extra time to sort of build in people's minds?
100%, absolutely 100%. I think like so many people were unsure about coming back to shows, not even just because of everything that happened in terms of speaking out, but everything that happened in terms of COVID as well. Like people aren't feeling up to coming to shows yet, and you know, people aren't comfortable being around mixing with people, and that's absolutely fine. And I think there was this proper level of uncertainty of like, oh, all the talent's gone, and sorry, my cat's
no, it's fine. Hey, we love a good guest star. We love a good guest star.
She's here to steal the show. Yeah, I can't remember my train of thought now, but I think there were so many people who was like, oh, you know, like Brit Wrestling's never going to be the same again. It's not going to be the same again. And then like to have,
oh, adorable, amazing.
To have the amount of people who have come up to like me and Lizzy personally and say like, you're the reason that we come to TNT and like we don't want this feud to end. That it's kind of like it feels like a pat on the shoulder, you know what I mean? Like it feels like okay, I'm doing my job, I'm doing what is expected of me, and I'm doing what like the best job that I can possibly do. And that's credit to both of us, because and also credit to TNT for like building the feud in the way that they have, and you know, making sure that everything's different each time. So yeah.
Yeah, and talk to me about you guys in terms of sort of as individuals. The years you've had have both been fantastic. You know, obviously you've been on Progress a lot since the start of the year when they came back. Lizzy's just got on Progress as well, and there's been, you know, you guys have both been killing it really. So talk to me about yourself, about her, about, you know, just what great years you've had and how excited you must be to sort of have this big final like blow off match, like you say, and have it be such a big match, an important match in people's minds.
I think the thing is, we've like both me and Lizzy, obviously she's been doing it a lot longer than I have, but we both had real similar starts. So we both started at the same training school. By the time I'd started, she'd already left because it was such a terrible training school. So I kind of had that like to figure out for myself. And I remember the first time I kind of really met her properly was that time I was telling you about where we did that mixed tag match. And we were just talking backstage about the school that we started at. So that was like something that we had in common. And, you know, we were like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. This cat, you are being too much right now.
Oh, it's very cute. See, I don't have that issue because I've got guinea pigs, so they can't climb up on the table, so they're fine.
Honestly, anytime I'm on like a meeting, she does this every time. But yeah, like we kind of had like that same start in wrestling of like starting at a really bad school, having a little bit of a rough start to wrestling. Kind of finding our feet once we left that school, I think, is when I started to find my feet. I know that's probably when she started to find hers. She's obviously done exceptionally well the last, even like pre-COVID and coming back post-COVID. You know, me getting on Progress at the start of the year was something that I also didn't expect and didn't see come in. I was like really, really surprised when they contacted me with that. It felt like something that I'd been like working towards for so long. And I know that there's a lot of people who were like, oh, like we hate Progress, but like, you know, for me, like getting on Progress was such a big deal for me. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they treated me really, really well. I was so fucking happy to see Lizzy get on there as well. So when they started bringing in a few more girls, like once everything started opening up a little bit more, so they kind of kept the roster quite small for a little bit because the tapings was like in the middle of lockdown, so it was super, super strict. Like we weren't allowed to like leave the building, like we had to like wear masks, we had to be like extensively COVID tested. We even had to have like a test to see if COVID had been in our like system for the last, but like it wasn't just like your normal lateral flow test, like it was all super, super strict. So I think once they started to bring in more girls because they could have a few more people there because the world was open back up, like I was so happy to see the likes of Lizzy on there and Rhea and Sky Smithson and all those types of girls. They're absolutely fantastic. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it kind of just feel like me and Lizzy are kind of had the same sort of like route in wrestling, and to do this big blow off match, like I couldn't pick anybody else that I'd rather be doing it with.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I guess the key question is obviously, you know, is Alexxis Falcon going to walk out of TNT next week as the champion?
I fucking hope so. Because I'll have to lose my nickname. I'll have to come up with new t-shirt designs and everything. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's just too much effort.
Honestly, I really do hope so. It's something that TNT was the first place that I went to before I even started wrestling. So before I actually went to a training school, I moved down to Liverpool in September, and I didn't start wrestling until the January, I think it was, because it was after like the Christmas break.
Sure.
And I'd gone on like a night out with a couple of friends, and it was to go and watch TNT. And so I remember like being there as an actual fan, like not even knowing what it felt like to take any bumps. You know, I started on Ignition when they brought Ignition into it. I started wrestling on there and eventually worked my way up to Extreme. So even though I'm not from Liverpool, I feel like I never really felt at home in Hull, which is kind of sad. But I kind of feel at home in Liverpool, and I feel like I would never leave here now unless it was for the States. So, you know, it kind of does feel like it'll be like a home thing.
Yeah, like a hometown thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be a really bittersweet moment, and I hope that I can pull it out of the bag.
And you mentioned, obviously, talking about TNT, I mean, they're just doing fantastic work, you know, both with yourself, with Lizzy, with everyone, really. They're putting on great shows. And it must be nice, like you say, to sort of have that be the first show you went to before you started training, and then to be a part of it, and to be having these great matches in it.
It's real surreal, to be honest. Like, I don't think people realise how much it actually means to me to wrestle at TNT. But like I say, it was the first indie show that I ever went to. Even when I started wrestling, before I was like ready to be on shows, like I'd still go to TNT. Yeah, I've literally been going there since I moved to Liverpool. So it's one of those. It's so exciting to be a part of it. And I don't know if like TNT like realise how grateful I am to be on their shows. I don't even think they know that I was like, because I didn't even have red hair at the time, so I bet they were just like, who's that in the crowd? But yeah, it's really bittersweet for me.
And to ask, if you don't mind me asking, then if you moved to Liverpool before you started training, was that always the move that you wanted to make because of training, or was there another reason just behind moving to Liverpool anyway?
I went to uni here.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. What did you study?
I studied psychology.
Nice. That's got to be quite good as a wrestler. That's got to be quite good. You can, like, in terms of developing character and getting into the mind of, you know, yourself and opponent sort of thing.
A little bit. It's difficult because I feel like wrestling psychology is different to like actual psychology. And also I didn't really pay that much attention to my degree. I just did it as like I don't really know what I want to do once I leave school. So I'm going to go and do my degree in psychology. If I could go back, I'd have done like chemistry.
That's fair enough. I always look at it back and I'm like, you know, I do journalism as well, but like as a career. But I'm always like, oh, I could have done law. I would have liked law. That would have been. Yeah.
I always look back and I'm like, maybe I'll go back and study chemistry. But like my schedule's so like hectic now that I just like with work and wrestling as well, that I wouldn't be able to. But if I ever was like wrestling full time, I think I'd probably go back to uni and do a different subject.
Nice, that'd be cool. Yeah, for sure. Again, just while you mention that, is because we've spoken to a couple of wrestlers where it's not sort of fully the aim, but is the aim for you to go full time? Would that be like, you know, sort of dream to be able to wrestle full time?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, none of my employees are going to see this, but I hate my job so much. I work like the most boring 9-to-5 job that you can imagine, and it's not even like 9 to 5. It's like rotational shifts. So, you know, sometimes I'll have to work weekends, which means I can't take certain wrestling bookings, and I'm just constantly tired all the time. Yeah, I'd love to wrestle full time. That's definitely where like what I'm working towards.
For sure. And something you mentioned a little bit earlier that I want to pick up on was the progress thing, in terms of when you said, you know, some people are like, oh, progress now, like it's got a, you know, maybe a bit more of a mixed reputation than it had, say, pre-COVID. But I mean, generally, it's still not just because it's on the network, but it's just generally still considered one of the biggest promotions in the country. So to be on it must still be a great feeling.
It still is, and like I say, like it is still a big promotion, and I think that's probably part of the reason why it gets a lot of negativity online is because they've got that big following. They've got a lot of followers. Like you go on anyone, whether it's inside of wrestling or outside of wrestling, you go on anyone that has a lot of followers on Twitter, and whenever they tweet anything, it can be any celebrity in the world or any organisation in the world. You go under their replies, there's always someone who has got something not nice to say. Like people thrive off saying not nice things on the internet. Like that's literally how they live their life, is to go on the internet and type nasty things to people. Like that is literally, people thrive off that environment. And as sad as it is, like unfortunately it's something that we have to deal with. For me, like Progress is still, and it always will be, like one of the biggest promotions in the world. And definitely one of, if not the biggest promotion in the UK, definitely in the top 3. Do you know what I mean? You know, it means that I've had time on the WWE network, and the thing is as well, like there's so much stuff like that happens behind the scenes at Progress that a lot of people who will tweet about it online, they don't know what's happening. Like they think they know what's happening. They think that they can go and tweet and say all these things, and that because they've put it on Twitter that it makes it true. And I can't say what it is or isn't. It's not true, obviously, for like reasons. But like sometimes I just look at tweets and I'm like, oh my god, you have no idea what you're on about. And it's really like, I feel embarrassed for them because I'm like, when it, like, you know, like when it all comes to fruition and like the things that you've been tweeting just to be nasty, like some people just enjoy being nasty, and I think that's just ultimately what it boils down to. I think if you don't like a product, don't watch a product. No one is forcing you. No one is holding a gun to your head and saying you must watch Progress. Absolutely no one. There's enough people that are watching it off their own accord because they enjoy it and they want to watch it and they want to support the wrestlers that are on there. And of course, the wrestlers that are on Progress at the moment, you know, when back in pre-COVID, not even pre-COVID, but pre-NXT UK, people at first would have gone, who are the grizzled young veterans? Who's Pete Dunne? Like, people will have said that as well. So the same people who are going, who's Alexxis Falcon? Who are the young guns? Like, give it a chance. Like, just give these newer wrestlers a chance. Yeah. Because everyone started somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason why they're asking certain wrestlers to come on, because they're the ones that they see potential in, and you know, we're the ones that are trusted to do the job for them, and you know, build that new Progress.
Yeah, for sure. And that's got to be a nice feeling as well. Again, we've spoken to a few people about this, and the fact that whether it's Progress or TNT or wherever, for a promotion to say, like, you know, come in, be in these matches, we have faith in you. That's got to be a really nice feeling, different to say, like Workplace, or we spoke to Debbie Cattell and Roy Johnson. They were talking about their powerlifting and how, you know, if you're the best at powerlifting, it's because you've lifted the most. But it must be nice to actually have people back you, and, you know, have it be something that's different in terms of, you know, not necessarily on achievement or like being the best because there's stats to prove it. It's about these people saying, we think you're the best, come and have these matches.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like that's the thing with wrestling, is that it is all subjective and it is all an opinion. Who your favourite wrestler might be my least favourite wrestler. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone has a different opinion of what is good and what is bad wrestling. And I think that, like, you know, there's different types of wrestling. You've got your high flyers, you've got your technical base, you've got tag teams, you've got cruiserweights, you've got heavyweights, you've got big guys, small guys. Like, you've got all this different type of thing. Like, you've got so many different types of people, so many different body types, so many different athletes, all who can do different things and bring something different to the table. So to be told, like, what you bring to the table, we really like, can we use you? Like, it's a really nice feeling, because it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing something right. Yeah. And the thing is as well, like, what I always have to remember, I think this is the same for a lot of wrestlers, it's so easy for us to, like, get not upset, but, like, feel a little bit disheartened when we maybe don't get certain bookings, or, you know, there's a company that we really want to work for and they're not interested in working with us or something like that. And I just think, like, your time will come and you just need to keep patient. And if the company that you do want to work for don't want to use you, like, it could be a blessing. Like, something bigger and better could come along. And it is easy to get, like, wrapped up in, like, the whole, like, oh, why are they booked on there and not me? Because you might not be that promoter's like flavour of wrestling that they like, and that person that you're seeing who is booked, that promoter might really like them. Like I say, like wrestling's all subjective, so I think it's, as long as you are getting the bookings, like you need to just be focusing on that and focusing on like having that self-belief as what you are doing is correct, and you just cannot please everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And that's great advice for anyone coming through as well. And again, with what you mentioned about, you know, the names coming through in progress, again, it's sort of where COVID may have been a little bit of a blessing in a way, because you saw, you know, all those big names again got signed up, moved to America or NXT UK, things like that. And that's given this new breed of talent coming through a chance to actually shine on these platforms, because places like Progress, like TNT, like Catch, like ICW need these new wrestlers now coming through to build, because these other ones have left.
I've said for ages that NXT UK was one of the best things that happened to British wrestling, and I know there's so many people who disagree with me on that. But, like, it honestly really is, because the way I look at it, it's a win-win for everyone, because those wrestlers who are signed are now earning a set salary. They are literally being paid to wrestle, like a full-time salary. That's probably the same as what my job pays me right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they can pay their mortgage off by wrestling. I can't do that. Like, I literally cannot do that. I need a full-time job to pay off my mortgage, right? And all of us who maybe don't get looking at WWE and don't, you know, aren't in the lineup to get signed, whether that's now or ever, we now get these chances to be on bigger shows that pre NXT UK we won't got a sniff at. Like, we would not have got a sniff at shows like that, or maybe not even like shows like that, but maybe we'd have been put on the pre-show or thrown in like a 5-minute squash match. I'm now getting like a 25-minute match with Giselle Shaw for the Progress Women's Championship on WWE Network. Do I think that would have happened pre-NXT UK? Probably not. Like, I'd like to sit here and tell you it would, but the chances are it's unlikely. That would have probably gone to somebody else. So it's a good thing, because it's giving us a chance to show what we can do and what we've always been able to do, and we're getting the chance to show it on a big platform that otherwise we would not have got.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly like you said, it's winners all round, isn't it? It's winners all round, for sure. And we're going to move on to something else. Like we're going to talk about couples wrestling for a second, because this all stems from like a few months ago. We put out this article about like sort of fantasy booking the Dream Brit Rest Couples Tag Team Tournament. And then we had Ivy on the show and asked her about it. And obviously, I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, exactly. She has the bold claim that she and Brady Phillips are the power couple of Brit Rest. Where do you stand on that?
They've only just moved in together. Me and JJ have lived together since the minute we laid eyes on each other, let me tell you that, right? So we have a bond that can't be broken. We have 2 cats together, right? They've only got rabbits, so they don't count. What else? We've just been to Disneyland together. So that puts us above. And also, we're just better. We're just literally better than them. So we would welcome Ivy and Brady to come for us, because first of all, I think that match would be fucking fantastic. But second of all, like, we're better than them. We're literally better than them.
I mean, well said. Well said. I mean, I can't take sides, obviously, because it was great having Ivy on the show as well, and I'm not going to put myself in the middle of that. But we were saying that it's I am surprised that no one has sort of like booked this almost like couples tournament thing before. It just it seems like such a moneymaker.
I know. And the thing is, like, there's so many couples in wrestling now as well. There's so many couples. So, like, literally, they could make a full show out of it. Me and JJ was talking about this because it would actually be money. You know, if they did like a tag tournament or something, that'd be class.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. I mean, if we had the funds here at Grapple Theory, we'd put it on ourselves. But that's a little way off for us. I don't think 6 months into launching we're ready for that yet. But I mean, you mentioned it, and it's got to be because we spoke to Ivy about it as well. Is there a sort of, in terms of couples, like a tough to leave work at work kind of thing when you're wrestling? If you're both wrestling, say you've both been on a show or something, do you like discuss it a lot after, or are you really good at like sort of leaving it? And
sometimes I think the thing is, and a lot of wrestling couples will agree with me here, you tend to really disagree with your other half on what is correct and what is not correct. You know, I was saying that everyone has like different styles of wrestling that they like. I think like it's so easy to be like, no, that's not right. And because you're a couple,
Mm.
if that was anyone else, you'd be like, oh, I prefer this. And you just go, okay, I respect your opinion. But because it's your other half, you're just like, well, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I'm right. You're incorrect. And then it'll turn into like a full-blown row. But no, I think generally we are pretty good at keeping wrestling. We do talk about it, obviously. Like, we met through wrestling, so we're obviously going to talk about wrestling. We're both at shows together, and we've both got ideas and things that we want to do together. But I think with me and JJ especially, like, we have such a life outside of wrestling. Like, he works a 9 to 5, I work a 9 to 5, so we can discuss that. We've got 2 cats who are literally like my little children. We run a house together. We're in the middle of planning a wedding. Like, we're in the middle of going to like Disney all the time. Like, we've got so much stuff that we plan outside of wrestling that we're relatively, I would say us two are quite good at not talking about wrestling too much, because I think it can be, it's obviously healthy, but it can be the same way if I was with somebody who worked at my bank, if we spoke about banking and finance all the time, it'd get really boring.
Yeah, no,
you
for
know?
sure. Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like, just because it's wrestling and it's a little bit more niche and a little bit more exciting than, working for a bank, I think if you did that with any workplace, you'd probably run out of things to talk about.
No, sure. I mean, just off on a little tangent there, wedding planning wise, I mean, have you ever considered, instead of a first dance, having like a first match?
No.
Where you just
my wedding is not going to have anything wrestling related to it.
Nothing.
No. Nothing wrestling related, because it's like I say, like, if I work for a bank now. Can you imagine if I had the Barclays logo across my wedding cake?
You say that as if that would be super uncool. What?
That's what I mean. Like, it would be. So if I had talking about wrestling, like, to me, like, wrestling's work, and as much as it is a hobby and it's much as something that I absolutely love and it's my passion, like, I don't know, like, it's still work to me.
Sure.
Because I currently get paid to do it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to kind of bring that. JJ has also told me that I'm not allowed to bring Disney into the wedding. So
that's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh.
We've had an argument about it. It's fine. Like, I'm still having like Mickey and Minnie, like, little bride and groom, on the kit.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna get that. But other than that, he said, we're not allowed to get married at Disney.
You could. What about like naming the tables after different characters? We won't tell him.
Don't put this on Twitter.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Well, I mean, as well, congratulations. I mean, that's fantastic for you guys. And moving on, we'll talk about something else I wanted to ask about, because we've had, I'd say a lot of the wrestlers we've spoken to have been more from like the north of England, and I've asked them about this, and it does seem that there's this sort of, not necessarily divide, but this north-south barrier in Brit Rest at the minute. Just, I assume it's mainly just due to travel, because it's, where you can get closer to. But the north really seems to be thriving at the minute. Like, there's so many great promotions.
Yeah, I don't know if it's obviously because, like, my main friends in wrestling would obviously be from the north, because that's what I train with and see the most. But there is definitely this, like, weird divide. I think it's not necessarily like a bad divide. It's definitely strange though. I think it's more noticeable when, so just as an example, I've seen so many people moaning on Twitter, because people love to moan on Twitter, but I saw people moaning on Twitter the other day saying, oh, the North Brit Rest scene is rubbish because it's just the same 4 women booked on the same shows, just in different matches. Which I thought, the more I thought about it, I thought, do you know what, fair enough, because if I thought of 4 women in the Northwest, or, I could probably put, I know Gia Adams is Northeast, but I know she does not a lot of Northwest shows, so I'm not counting her in this. But, I'd say me, Tonga, Lizzy, and Rio, right? So they're the 4 people. Add Lana to the mix as well. But they're like the 4 people who I'm seeing all the time, booked on shows. And I do get it, because I've wrestled Lizzy so many times now, and, Progress booked it, TNT had been booking it so much. Obviously, the main story has been at TNT. I've wrestled Tonga so many times, whether that's Progress, Future Shock, this is wrestling. And I get what people are saying. However, there are wrestlers down south that exist, but promoters are choosing to not bring them up to wrestlers. So it is kind of weird. There is this like north-south divide because it does feel like there's especially in terms of the women, there is like the North girls, and then there is like the South girls as well. Yeah. I'd love to wrestle some more of the South girls, you know.
I mean, we're talking about this, like, obviously we're talking today, and the day this comes out is, I think, the day of Survivor Series, and that would be like, if you were doing a Survivor Series style match, like 5 of the best North versus 5 of the best South.
Sick,
that would be.
Oh my god, that'd actually be so good. We need somebody to book that immediately.
Yeah,
but this is the thing, like, people moan and say, oh, it's just the same people up north, but it's the same people down south.
Exactly.
Like, I follow a lot of promotions from down south, and I'm seeing the same matches there get repeated. I think it's probably just because that internet troll probably lived up north and has seen us wrestle. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm sure there's people down south who are saying the same thing. There's not. There is a lot of women wrestlers, but there's not that many women's wrestlers who tend to be booked again and again and again and again and again. And that's probably why it feels like there's the same people up north all the time. But, I'd love to wrestle more down south. I'd love to wrestle more of the southern lot. Especially Clementine. I really want to wrestle Clementine in a singles match.
Loads of people have said that. We had Charles Crowley on talking about her, and she's just fantastic, the way she's doing. She's very new, but she's just got something about her where I'm like, you're gonna be a fucking superstar. I also love Crowley as well, but someone put me on Crowley. Crowley's great. We've got to see that match as well. There's so many matches to be had here. Someone's got to book them.
I know.
Go on, if you could give us then like the 5-on-5 North v South of BritWres for a women's like Survivor Series style match, who would it be?
Oh, but I'm going to miss people out there, and then they're going to watch this and be like, you didn't say me, and I don't want to say anything nasty. Right, but are we going northwest?
No, we're just doing north.
North.
Yeah, say like...
Does it have to be 5?
I think 2, many more would be tricky, wouldn't it? I mean, it can be less if you're struggling to think, but like, I think more would be trickier.
Okay, so, me, Gio Adams, Tonga, Lana, Rio, and then the down south, Clem, Sky Smithson, Charlie Morgan, Mr. Mariah May. She's making waves at the minute.
That's a good shout, yeah.
Jetta.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good 5. That's a good 5-on-5.
That is, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be fantastic to watch. Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. Someone needs to book that, because...
If I've left anyone out, I'm really sorry. Like, don't be mad at me.
That's fine. It's all good intentions, isn't it? It's all good intentions. We're gonna mix up, but like we said at the beginning of the chat, we'll talk about Disney, because you've got this huge love of Disney. You said before that is it Chip and Dale that are your favourites?
Yeah, they're my favourite meet and greet.
It's a very not out there one. You know, it's one that people wouldn't necessarily say off the bat.
Yeah, so like obviously like my favourite character is Jack Skellington.
Nice.
But he's not my favourite meet and greet. So at the park, Chip and Dale is my favourite meet and greet. Just because they're so cheeky, they're really interactive with you. Although I did have a good meet with Jack Skellington at my latest trip, that was last week. I told him that I had a tattoo of him on my back, which I do. It's my only tattoo, and it's of Jack Skellington. I also like Ariel, but I don't like her to meet, which is really strange because like Ariel's like my favourite princess in the whole world.
Is it like a don't meet your heroes type thing?
No, I think it's because it's like a face character, not one in like a costume. Because she's like a person. In my head, I'm like, you don't look like Ariel.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah, like Chip and Dale, it's like obviously a full outfit, but yeah.
Whereas like with the princesses, I'm kind of like, and especially Ariel, I'm like, if you don't look like how I think you should look, then to me, you're just someone pretending to be Ariel. Like I could literally do a better job with my hair. You know.
Sure.
So yeah, Chip and Dale's my favourite meet, but Jack Skellington's like my favourite character.
Nice. I mean, I really appreciate your time talking to us again. We just we always end on another little feature. It's called Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler.
Okay.
It's putting you on the spot, but not as much as the Disney stuff. This is solely about you. So I'm going to give you some scenarios, and you let me know what comes to mind. So the first one is your favourite pre-show meal.
A meal deal from Tesco.
Nice. Do you go for is there something you always go for, or do you mix it up?
It depends. If the festive sandwiches are on, I'll get a festive sandwich.
Yeah, those are really good. Those are really good. The next one is the opposite. Your favourite post-pinfall pig out.
Pizza.
Domino's, Papa John's.
No, like a takeaway pizza. You know, like a proper dingy takeaway.
Right, like a sort of almost like kebab shop type one.
Yeah. Sorry, this.
No, that's
Just showing my bum.
We'll censor it. It's fine. Okay. Do you go do you like? This is sometimes an odd question, but I have a preference because some kebab shops do the square pizza and some do round ones, classic.
I don't know anywhere in Liverpool that does a square pizza, but in Hull there is places that do square pizza, and I do prefer it because you get more pizza.
Yeah, you get more crust as well.
Yeah.
Square pizza is always better. The next one is the song that gets you the most hyped.
What's it called? Till I Collapse by Eminem.
Okay. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, good shout. And then leading on from that, next one's your favourite band.
Band?
Well, band, artist, favourite music performer.
Eminem.
Is it? Has it always been?
He's the only person I've ever seen live.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't go to many gigs or anything?
No, don't like them, but I made sure that I saw him live.
Sure. Was it good?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
When was that? How long ago was that?
It was at Wembley in 2015.
Oh wow, okay.
2015. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fair enough. I couldn't imagine not going to gigs. I'm sort of the exact opposite. I go to too many.
They're not my thing.
Not your sort of thing. No, that's fair enough. But if it's your favourite, then you've got to make the effort, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. The movie that I'd show the locker room.
Kirker.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah. My partner showed me that one.
Many people haven't seen it, and I'm it's literally one of the best Disney films ever.
Yeah, I think my partner showed it to me a few months ago. Because
it's real sad. It's really sad. But so many, I get really surprised at how many people haven't seen it.
Well, again, I'm sort of I like Disney, but I'm very much classic Disney. Do you know what I mean? I haven't seen many of the newer ones.
Yeah.
Next one is my favourite way to relax.
I like doing yoga. And then just getting a bath, putting a film on my laptop while I get a bath.
Nice. Next one's my first job.
My first job, I worked in shoe. You know,
nice.
The shoe shop.
Yeah.
In towns and stuff. I worked in there. I worked in the stockroom.
Nice. Fun?
Yeah, I loved it. You know, if it wasn't minimum wage, I'd have well stayed there and do the job I do now.
Next one's my greatest fear.
Spiders.
Yeah, I hate spiders. I'm with you with that one. Spiders just creep me out.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, no, my partner's always the ones that get rid of those. There'll be one on the wall, I'll be like, nope, I'm not going anywhere near it. She'll come in and rescue me. Next one, a couple of wrestling ones. Next one's my favourite wrestling match ever. It can be one of your own, or it can be one you've seen. Doesn't matter which one.
Oh no, this is a funny one, but it's just my favourite because of how funny it is. But Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan, I think it's SummerSlam,
yeah,
where Shawn Michaels is just overselling everything. It's not my favourite in terms of the best, because it's the best wrestling I've ever seen. But I cry with laughter every time I watch that. So for that reason, that was my favourite.
Yeah, no, that's what favourite is, isn't it? It's the one you enjoy the most. It doesn't have to be a technical masterclass, but that one is just hilarious.
So funny.
You can just see the sort of the hate in Sean's eyes, every move.
It's when he does the backflip over the rope. Oh my god! And you can just see it fucking Hogan like this.
He's so pissed off. It's brilliant.
Dripping with sweat.
It's wonderful. It's what do I do here? Where do I go?
Yeah.
And the next one is obviously the obligatory my dream match.
My dream match. This is a controversial one.
Go on.
Because controversial stuff. However, Charlotte Flair and Natalya.
Three-way match.
Yeah.
That would be a great match, yeah. Why is that controversial?
Charlotte Flair's had heat at the minute, hasn't she?
I suppose she does. Yeah. No, that would still be a cracking match, though.
Still be fantastic, though.
Yeah. Good shot. Good shout. Next one's my favourite place in the world.
Disney World.
Yeah, I saw that coming a mile off. That's Florida, though.
Specifically Animal Kingdom.
Specifically there.
Yeah.
What is it about there that makes it sort of tops it?
It's just the best theme park in the entire world. Like, if I could live there, I'd live there.
Amazing. And the next one is, well, apart from Disney, because we've spoken about that, but the last one is my dream holiday destination.
Other than Disney,
New York. Disney, really?
Yeah, I've been before, and I absolutely love it. I'd love to live in New York.
Nice. It's too busy for me. It's too hectic. Like,
oh really?
No, the amount of people there, I shudder at the idea of it, like, every day. That's brilliant. Well, Alexxis Falcon, thanks so much for coming on Grapple Theory. Really appreciate your time. And it's been lovely chatting to you. Best of luck, obviously, for next week and for, of course, every other show you've got coming up. We always end our shows with a little bit of promo time for yourself. So whether it's Catch or TNT or Progress or anywhere, if someone sees you on an event poster or someone sees you tweet that you're at a show, why is Alexxis Falcon the person to come and see? Why are you going to steal the show?
Just got bright red hair, cracking scream, and I do a couple of flips and I kick people in the head. So, like, what else would you not want to see? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to see people get kicked in the head, come to a show that I'm on.